Welcome, this is Breaking Bread. Let's break some bread. Today, our focus is going to be mainly on Sudan, which is facing a horrific man-made humanitarian crisis right now that has displaced, I believe is it 18 million?
I'd have to pull it up. I'm like so new to the information.
Yeah, it is new information for most of us. We are learning. It's important to mention that let me hold on. It is important to mention that because you should probably be consuming your own educational content in conjunction with listening to this podcast. Please don't rely on us as your sole education source. But it is a horrific humanitarian crisis that has displaced, let's verify and make sure that it's 18 million because I do want to get the number right. I do know it's projected that up to 3 million people are suspected to die of starvation in the next 3 months in Sudan due to the man-made famine that they're experiencing. How many people have been displaced in Sudan?
Yeah, it's gotta be a pretty high number.
It was a jarring number.
When I was watching, there was one single conflict, and they said that over 500, like it was like 500,000 people in just this one. Conflict is such a weird word to use, but just this massacre, crossed over this one single border.
I have some statistics here. The total number of people internally displaced in Sudan is 9 million people, which is, I live in Chicago, 2 cities of Chicago. Nearly 1 in every 8 internally displaced persons worldwide is Sudanese, which, jarring. That is a large, incredibly large number of people. Let's see. This includes over 6.4 million people who have been internally displaced within Sudan and more than 2.1 million people who have left the country. Now, what is at the heart of all this displacement in this conflict? That is something that I think a lot of people don't know, and I'm certainly not an expert on it, but what I do know is the RSF, known for committing atrocities, has trapped these civilians in this conflict amidst them fighting with the SAF. Let me double check what these are.
The Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces.
Yeah. Now, who's funding RSF in Sudan? That's a good one to get into. Yeah, the Sudanese Armed Forces are the military forces of the Republic of Sudan, and the paramilitary, so I believe the RSF would then be like an independent militia then?
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I understand, the plan initially was to integrate the militia into the government and make it like a democratic state solution. And the one guy was like, yeah, we have to do this immediately. The other guy, I'm sorry, I am new to the information. I'm the one guy and the other guy.
We are all new.
Like, no, we're gonna wait 10 years for this, and then things erupted.
Yeah. Now, there was fighting.
Supposed to be a militia to an army, and then it just didn't happen.
That's really confusing.
I
had
think
to watch several videos to get a base understanding, because there's so many elements to it.
it's now to compare it to something like what's happening in Palestine, to horrific, incomparable things, but that's complicated to learn about. It's not complicated, the genocide, to know that it's wrong, but the history behind it and learning all of the details that you need to know if you want to be as fully knowledgeable about the situation as you should be, that in itself is complicated. And then you add on something like what's happening in Sudan, that it does seem like if you do not know all of the context, you will be very confused. And again, it's
also
easy.
harder to, from what I've noticed, is that it's harder to find not only up-to-date information, but just resources in general. Like, there's a lot of books that we've come across with the Palestine situation versus any of these other situations. It's a lot harder to find those resources.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the constant media blackouts that they have.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm pretty sure, now I read this or saw a video about this, read something about this a long time ago, a couple months ago, so this could be outdated information now. But I'm pretty sure as we were talking about donating eSIMs to Palestine, and we were hearing more about the blackouts in Sudan, we were like, oh, can we do that for Sudan? And I heard a lot of Sudanese people explain that, no, the infrastructure there doesn't really exist like that. They can't really, the eSIMs just don't work over there for some reason. They have to find other ways to connect to the internet. And I thought that was really interesting and frustrating and
yeah.
So
When you think about something as simple as when you go out into the country and you don't really have the internet like that, if I go to my grandparents' house, it's out. Good luck. How is there any possibility? I can't even get a text to my friend at my grandma's house. How do you expect these people that most likely don't have access to technology, because that would be taken away, of course. If they did, the infrastructure isn't there. No internet. So there has to be a lot of self-accountability in digging into these things and not expecting the answers to just be given to you, because it's not possible. How do you expect it to be possible?
Yeah, they can't even internally get in touch with one another, so it's not surprising.
From what I've heard from people that have escaped from there, even the massacres, when they're reporting what's going on, it's severely underreported. So say, to make it really simple, say 5 people were killed, or they say 5 people were killed. It was 500 people, but they're reporting 5 because that's
oh my God,
a margin that they can pass through. That's not gonna bring attention to it, and they do it over and over and over and over. So there's a lot more people that are being killed than are being reported on. I mean, not that there's coverage anyway, but the coverage that's coming from inside there is being underreported.
Heavily underreported. That is. The first Sudanese civil war occurred from 1955 to 1972. The second Sudanese civil war was from 1983 to 2005. These are long-ass wars, too. Sudanese civil war from 2023 to present, which is the third major civil war in Sudan in the past 100 years.
So
60 years.
There was this leader. I gotta pull up these guys' names. So there was this leader. There was these 2 generals, and it was basically if these 2 people come together, he was preventing this from happening so that this coup wouldn't happen. And it happened. This guy was overthrown. They were in power together, and then they couldn't decide on integrating a formal form of democracy.
Yeah. The Al Khalij Bank Company has played a central role in funding the RSF's operations. So, Al Khalij Bank Company.
I just looked it up, and it says that the owner of the bank is, or the bank is 47% owned by the government of Qatar. Qatar.
Because I saw a video talking about boycotting the UAE and talking about how Macklemore tours in Dubai.
It's a city in the UAE.
It's a city in the UAE. Okay.
Yeah, I think the capital maybe, but at least one of the one of the biggest major cities.
United Arab Emirates' grander geopolitical objectives around the Red Sea. Abu Dhabi and...
Let me rewind it.
We'll have to just like splice in commentary and be like, oh, I didn't realize that was so close.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right there.
into the country as well. Sudan is, after all, a very valuable piece on the board in the United Arab Emirates' grander geopolitical objectives around the Red Sea. Abu Dhabi and Riyadh are each actively competing against the other to become the leading Arab and Persian Gulf state. Though the
I need a journal to write this down.
We know
No
where the
idea.
Red Sea is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
have
just,
no
just think
idea
about,
that it's so small.
well, yeah, think about what we already know in the region. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I'm trying to build it.
Yeah, that's kind of same.
Because it is, I mean, yeah, I'm a dumb American. I never, you know.
Hey, and I'm okay with comments I'm okay with just accepting that, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're ever going to get past that part. Is
We
just
weren't taught any of this breakdown, and that's why we need to learn it. We need
Yeah.
to learn it.
The first time I ever had a teacher say anything honest about history, and even then it was still watered down, was I took history in summer school my junior year of high school because I wanted to graduate early. I didn't end up doing that, but I took summer school for that. And my teacher, for the first semester of that, it was like 12 weeks where we were there 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, learning just about history. And I loved it. Everyone else hated it. But this teacher was like, so I'm going to be honest with you guys. Christopher Columbus was not a good guy. And that's kind of like the American education system. That's the most you're going to get, actually, of a teacher even telling you close to what's the truth, and that is nothing. Like, obviously, okay, how is he not a good guy? Like, teach us about what actually happened then. But the education system here is not teaching you about any of the atrocities that happened regarding us, or any of the atrocities that happened overseas that we're funding, or anything other than...
Anything that is discussed is completely fluffed up. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. It's made as like I remember how slavery is taught is like, you're not really taught how slavery is bad. You're taught about how Abraham Lincoln was a good guy for, like, the emancipation.
Yeah.
Like, that's the lens it's taught through.
which was not a moral choice. It wasn't because he was like good old guy.
He was a ridiculous racist. He was
No,
viscerally racist.
but yet he's credited with freeing slaves.
Yeah. It's
These people freed themselves.
absolutely, yeah. They freed themselves, and he actually didn't do shit, realistically. Like, even the laws he passed didn't end slavery. Slavery still existed after that. It was just like, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
Or like a little bit more hidden.
It was
Like,
yeah.
it's like we basically have prisons today.
Yeah, we have slaves in our prisons, absolutely.
Different, like, look.
Yeah, they slipped it in there. They made sure to leave that little part in.
the UAE only has a fourth of Saudi Arabia's population, The Emirates have an economy that punches far above their weight, that's about half the size of the Saudis. And the two are the leading economic powers in the Arab world. The Saudis dominate the eastern shore of the Red Sea with their own shoreline, one of the most critical shipping routes in the world, with the Suez Canal to the north and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait to the south. The UAE has therefore spent years attempting to build up their position and influence around the Red Sea's shores, to challenge Saudi hegemony in the area by backing the secessionist Southern Transitional Council in Yemen against the Saudi-backed government and Iranian-backed Houthis, and by building up military bases on the Yemeni islands of Socotra and Perim, by investing hundreds of millions of dollars into developing the port of Berbera, nearby to the Red Sea in the breakaway state of Somaliland, by supporting the government of Abiy Ahmed in Ethiopia, and by cultivating ties to the RSF and Hemeti in Sudan, whose fighters the UAE used in Yemen and fought alongside them in Libya before the war in Sudan even began.
Everybody should be paying attention to this because it's a humanitarian crisis to begin with. But they say that it's like a microcosm of a world war. There are so many hands in what's going on and invested in the outcomes, and it's insane. Everybody's got their hands in there.
Now, something I don't know. What is the objective
Yeah.
behind
Especially
the war?
if this all started with them, like, planning to integrate together, how did this become this huge multiplayer situation?
Yeah. Let's see.
I think it's because Sudan has a lot of gold, and that's how the UAE is involved, is because they're smuggling and stealing all the gold from Sudan. Which is why we were told to boycott and not buy any gold products from the UAE, and which is why I think people are trying to tell Macklemore to stop his tour over there.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
absolutely. And I mean, when you bring gold into the equation, things do start piecing together a little bit more. Let's see.
The Sudanese army and a paramilitary group known as the RSF, or Rapid Support Forces. Since a coup in the country in 2021, which ended the transitional government put in place after the fall of longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir 2 years earlier, Sudan has been run by the army. Okay. With the coup leader General Abdel Fattah Burhan as the de facto ruler. Okay, so the
transitional government in place.
yeah.
Because that probably has something to do with the background. If they did a coup.
Yep. Following Bashir's ouster, the political transition was supposed to result in elections by the end of 2023, with Burhan promising a transition to civilian rule, but it appears neither actually agreed to turning over power.
Sudan, Congo, any place in Africa that we keep our claws into, that is the richest place in the world.
Oh yeah, there's everything in that area. They call it the scramble for Africa, the fight for Africa. There's so many, and so much of it goes back to Israel.
Yeah. Something that just really has always, like, it's every time I look at history for anything, like modern, 1948.
Goes back to them or us, the U.S. Go
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like when you learn about ancient history, everything is going to come back to Rome. Like, everything is going to come back to Rome. Every awful thing that you learn about, Rome played a part in it. It's just this continuous cycle of having this monster at the top, keeping a death grip over everyone else.
The video I found earlier, and I have to fact check it myself anyway, but it was this girl laid out all of these different things that she essentially was just like, listen, the Nazis were inspired by America. The massacres and the genocide that occurred with the Native Americans, they took parallels from that and applied it to what they were doing to the communities, not just the Jewish communities.
Yeah.
All the communities that they were.
That's a big thing that isn't talked about a lot either, is the fact that yes, 6 million Jewish people were killed, and that is an atrocity. There was also 12 million total that were queer, people of color, anyone that went against the regime.
My family was Polish for the Holocaust.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they were just Polish farmers. They didn't do anything except one day when the Nazis came up to their door, they were like, "Hey, can we have your stuff?" They were like, "No, like leave us alone. We're not a part of any of this."
Yeah.
And,
it was a lot of people that were even just socially othered. I'm not sure what.
Anyone with disabilities, for sure. But yeah, all of these atrocities, wherever you look, it always seems like it comes back to a lot of the same players.
Here we are. The violence has been brewing for a while, with concern over the RSF seeking control of more of the economy's economic assets, notably the gold mines.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting over gold.
Yeah. And I'm going to include all of the sources that we referenced in the description as well. Tony, if you could send me those, I have mine here.
That's the same thing. Just make it further down. Make sure. Yeah. It says President Bashir was the face of the violence against people in Darfur and was later indicted. So ICC has already indicted him on crimes against humanity. Of course, that meant fucking nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Because why would the international court have any?
What power do they have at the end of the day? Like, what power can they wield if they chose to? You know, because it does seem like.
It seems like a lot of the backing for a lot of these big agencies is the U.S. So if we're not up to backing it, which of course we're not, we're invested in it. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I should probably note how many times I say the F word.
That's all right. This is not a censored podcast, I don't think. It's appropriate to swear. It's appropriate to swear in these conditions.
These the humanitarian crisis is being exacerbated by the fact that Sudan is bordered pretty much entirely by other volatile countries, which makes it even harder to get humanitarian aid and relief in.
And there's so much exploitation. There's, I think it's a little bit later in that video that I had you pull up. They talk about how they're taking, cars and even just simple resources from Sudan and taking it through all these other areas in the northernmost area of Africa, because you can easily have these routes of illegal trade, essentially. They just steal people's shit over here, cycle it over here, make it come back over here, and nobody knows the difference. So even just looting, they have people just coming in to steal shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, on one of the Telegram channels that I follow that talks about mostly Palestine, but they've started now incorporating Sudanese news and a bunch of other things going around.
Would you be able to send that to the chat so we could?
Yeah, I have so few resources.
That'd be great. Sorry to
I'll
interrupt.
definitely share that after this. But before that, in Al Jazeera, I think, a video I was watching before that, they said that 70% of the hospitals in Sudan are out of service currently. And then on my Telegram, just a little bit afterwards, just a little bit before we started recording, actually, Doctors Without Borders made an announcement saying that they are pulling out of South Al Fashir Hospital due to the RSF looting and destroying everything. So
That's terrible.
That's where all of the
All the wounded are going.
well, that's where the fighting is. Al Fashir is where the fighting is.
yeah, wasn't Al Fashir just on fire, similarly to how Rafah was last week?
Yeah.
From what I understand, like, yeah, I'm getting, like, spots of news from what I understand, yes. There's a lot of parallels, and that's, yeah, why I think it is important to, like, learn about it and talk about it, because we're getting educated on little sections, and we really, I mean, these are all people. We need to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm very
And
grateful.
hopefully this encourages people to do the work too.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to talk about this stuff here, though, because, like, digesting this information alone is difficult. Like,
Yeah.
I read the same articles on my own, and talking with them with other people, you just digest it a bit differently, which also hopefully encourages anyone learning about Sudan to talk about it with other people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, one of the only things we can actually do right now is pay attention to everything.
Well, I think the shitty part about it is I do think that it is something that if you keep talking about it, it chips away at people. Because I have noticed the more and more you can't, the more and more we discuss Palestine, you can't avoid it. It is everywhere. It's constant. It's on, you know what I mean? The more and more people I see, they're like, wait, I had no idea that it was this bad. And like, yeah, we've been screaming it, but that's a whole other discussion.
It's people that knew.
You're tuning into it now. You're like, we got through that layer.
Or they're just afraid of becoming the face for what's being done. Like, not necessarily the face, but like, even on a personal level, like with family members or things like that. Like, maybe it's not 100% genuine this way, but I think it's better than nothing. But by making them admit it's a genocide, I don't think they want to go down in my brain for the rest of my life as being the one person that wouldn't say genocide is bad.
Yeah. And I think at this point, especially because of the fact that we haven't stopped talking about Palestine, it's like there are some people who are coming to that realization, like, this isn't going to go away, and I have to acknowledge it now because they're not going to stop.
Yeah, in fact, we're certainly not stopping at Palestine. We're certainly, like, it's going to change the way the youth, like children now growing up, I can speak for myself. Yeah, she's gonna be learning.
Oh yeah.
Right, my kids already have books about base level understandings about a lot of really heavy topics.
Yeah.
You can break it down, and you should.
Yeah.
If I have talked to mine about what's going on. I've brought her to protest. Because if there are children young enough to lose their heads, like, you can tell your kid what's going on. You can be honest with your child. You can be honest about the world that they're going to grow up in. They deserve
you don't
that.
Have to give graphic detail enough to say.
Yeah, of course not. Don't show them the pictures.
You're safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't show them the pictures. Just tell them what's wrong is wrong.
Absolutely.
And it's wrong everywhere.
And then you end up with little ones who decide they're going to be their own little activists, and they go into their school and start doing it themselves.
Yeah. And I hate to break it.
My first protest was in 7th grade about, there was like a hair color policy.
Oh.
And I organized a walkout.
Well done.
That is awesome.
Well done.
You have to, a kid understands true justice. I hate saying the word justice because it's, but a kid understands actual justice, like right from wrong. They're gonna say, okay, well, I'm gonna dissect this situation. Is this oppressive to me? Because this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Even in small things, like, why can't I do something with my own body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not small when you extrapolate that to a bigger concept.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I hate this freaking camera, dude. Oh my god. Hey.
Just kidding.
Hey. Yeah, and this is, I mean, I don't assume there would be any more religious right-leaning type people listening, but there is a chance when you grow up in that environment, there's a 50-50 chance you become just like your parents, or you become radicalized in the other direction as well. So I see a lot of more conservative parents coming out, in the past few years. Conservatism seems to be more and more, it's like we're going backwards actively.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to have the result that they're thinking either.
I don't either.
You know what I mean? Because that made me. That made so many other radicalized people that heard their parents talk and thought, that's really wrong. That's really that's really wrong. So.
Well, I think there's something to be said about that too, that you can just know at your core without having that,
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, kids have an inherent sense of justice that I think some might not hold on to that and some just do. All right, y'all. This has been Breaking Bread. Thanks for breaking bread with us. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.